Hello, hello. We have a pretty packed session with a ton of content, a lot of new stuff. So again, thanks all for joining. We're going to talk about ITOM today. We're going to talk about more or less the advanced and new pieces of ITOM. Um, we're going to talk about how to accelerate your success with ITOM, deploy capabilities, as you can see, with guidance from us. And what we're going to cover today is, first of all, the safe harbor is we're going to talk about current, past, and some future capabilities. And so nothing is promised until it's actually out. It's all future, and the safe harbor notice is always relevant. Things could change. And uh, we do have time for questions and maybe sprinkle them at the end of each tool that we're going to talk about. Feel free to ask those questions. We will make time, but like I said, it's going to be packed. We got a lot to cover. You will have the recording. We will share not only a few useful links for afterwards, but I think, and Charlie, something we may want to add to the chat later, our direct emails, so you can actually interact and ask us questions. And there's a call to action at the end of this. So I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff, and we're going to ask you just a few things on why we're doing this webinar now, almost at the end of the year. And there's going to be a short survey that if you want, you can fill. That's part of the automated piece. Now, Charlie and myself are part of the ITOM Innovation Architects. We have a lot of teams in the company that are dealing with ITOM, but we're unique in the way that our team is only dealing with the new capabilities of ITOM. And Charlie, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh, hello. Good morning, everyone.
What, where did you get that photo taken?
I was in New Mexico, Santan Mountains. No,
Okay,
I don't remember what mountain's name. Santan's in Arizona.
cool.
That was New Mexico, though.
All right. And you can always look at what ServiceNow's learning provides when it comes to more of those sessions and a little bit of the agenda. So we're going to talk about the team, what we do, why it's unique, uh, why it's almost the only thing that is super hands-on but also free. I'll explain why we do it, what we do, and how. And we're going to go deeper dive on each of the tools that we are dealing with and the capabilities. And at the end, we're just going to touch on implementation scenarios for quick outcomes. I call that quick wins because it's almost the end of the year. And if anyone has uh, some urgency to say, hey, what have we achieved on ITOM in 2025? What can I achieve between now and the end of 2025? Then this is a session for you. I see a few points on the chat. Yes, the recording will be, I see Charlie already answered that, so great, thank you. So a little bit about the team and what we do. So we are unique in ServiceNow in a way that we have impact team, we have expert services, we have the customer outcomes team, which are kind of professional services type engagement. We are the only team that says, if you're a customer and you own licenses to advanced capabilities in ITOM, we will help you implement hands-on. What we ask in return is, if you're happy with the tools that we implemented together, we want to agree on a timeline to get it to production. And what we as a business unit want is more customers to adopt what they already own. In other words, a lot of customers uh, work on implementing what they own in ServiceNow. Either some of them are not aware of new capabilities that they own. Some of them think that those new capabilities could be the bar is too high or it'll take too much time. Let's wait with it. And what we're coming to say is use us to understand that some of those new tools are A, not rocket science, B, pretty fast to implement, C, we're here to help. So we cannot help you implement everything. We don't have enough hands for that. So you do need your partners, you do need the regular resources, but we will choose with you a short engagement, use case, a scope that can quickly show you what those tools are capable of. Maybe for a health log analytics, as an example, we will choose one application service and say, let's get it together all the way to implementation, all the way to production together for free. We get more customers who adopt, you get free expert help, hands-on, everyone's happy. So that's really who we are. The tools that we touch change every year. I can promise you that next year, everything in the agentic AI section is going to stay, but let's go over those tools, and then each tool will go a little deeper dive. That's the plan for the next hour. Go over those tools, touch on each of them, show what it does, and at the end of that, ask you if you're ready to work with us, and you'll see. So the first one, Now Assist for ITOM, an extension of the Now Assist for ITSM that you probably know, but it includes the agentic AI capabilities. Everything you know on the ITOM side. If you see alert that matters, you can click and analyze it. If you have 1 year of experience and you see an alert that you have no idea what it does, we will analyze it. We will analyze groups of alerts, etc. You'll see that when we go deep dive. I will talk more of that. The second tool, HLA, Health Log Analytics, which is part of ITOM Health Predictive AIOps. It's unsupervised anomaly detection. We look at your logs and we understand the patterns behind those logs. We show you anomalies. There are sometimes symptoms before something actually happens. I will go deeper in the next hour. Another tool, Service Reliability Management, SRM. It's not a new tool, but it has a lot of new capabilities, which we'll go into. It does 3 things. It does SLAs and SLOs settings. We always recommend use ServiceNow as the single point of truth, where all other tools can derive from those numbers, and also kind of an air budget. Every time you have an incident or something that hurts those KPIs, you can see your budget of outage going down over the month, quarter, or year. That's one thing SRM does. The other thing is team management, team schedule, team delegation is the third. And we'll go deeper into that in a few minutes. Next tool. Oh yeah, SRM has a mobile app. It's pretty cool. CAM, Cloud Account Management. It is part of a suite of new tools which I will go into. If you ever worked with our Cloud Accelerate, then CAM is connected to the first step of venturing to cloud with ServiceNow. We will go into what it does. The name speaks for itself, Cloud Account Management, part of the Cloud Governance suite of tools, which will include, we'll see the 4 tools that it's going to include, but cloud security and audits, cloud cost and optimization, and cloud migration. That's coming Q1 next year. Cloud migration or planning and architecting new clouds. Are we good on questions so far? I'm not following because I'm talking, so Charlie, let me know. But I think we're good. Great. So that's CAM. The next one is synthetic monitoring. Not a new technology. It's been there out there for 15 years, but it was never part of the platform. And now I think ITOM is more complete when you get more touch points to your actual environments using synthetic monitoring. We will go into that and show it live. Service observability, which is I would say it's a good connection between your existing monitoring tools and ServiceNow all in one pane of glass, because when you see issues on your monitoring, it always helps that the person seeing that, and usually sometimes it's not even the same person, but the person seeing that will also understand changes, incidents, and issues at the same time as seeing APM information and monitoring. Last but not least, discovery. So you all have discovery challenges, and that's why we built the DAW, Discovery Admin Workspace. It's new, and to be honest, it's aimed at every person who ever complained about what's wrong with discovery. I think a lot of those issues have answers now with DAW, including some manual work that is now going to be done by machine learning and agentic approach, including understanding that sometimes discoveries fail and it's okay, sometimes discoveries fail and there's a problem. How do we know the difference? Now we're actually looking at anomalies in discoveries. In other words, if discovery always fails at a certain level, suddenly there's a spike at the same discovery that always worked, the same schedule, you will see it. And I'll go into that later in depth. All of this list represents what our team can help you with. Next year, in January, I don't know how much of this list is going to stay. For example, 2 years ago, our team helped custom with service mapping because there was a new tool called SM Plus, Service Mapping Plus, and it was considered innovation 2 years ago. This year, these are the tools. Next year, coming January, this list may change. I'm pretty sure, like I said, everything agentic is going to stay on our list next year, along with other new capabilities. So, I didn't speak about Leap. Leap is part of the family of Now Assist. It does something pretty amazing and magical by analyzing all of your past incidents, aggregating them, and giving you a list where you can say, I want to automate my most impactful issues. And I think instead of me talking about it right now, I'll just show you Leap as we go along through this session. Are we good on questions so far? All right, cool. Let's dig in. So we're going to start with Now Assist for ITOM. It's once you install it, and I'm not talking much about licenses today, but we're talking technology today. You can always talk to your sellers and talk to people about licenses. But this is part of the plus licenses, like Enterprise Plus, ITOM Operator Plus. And Now Assist for ITOM is really helping you seeing alerts. We want to assume that not everyone has the same experience, and sometimes one person would see alert and not understand their importance, or not have time to go and dig in and understand that a group of alerts is actually impactful, and people would skip alerts. I'm going to show you an example of that. Instead, what you're seeing here is the ability to apply LLMs, which, by the way, we can pick which LLM. You can use our LLM or other LLMs to do the analysis, but it's as simple as click on the Analyze button, boom, get the analysis. The analysis includes not only a human-readable language, understandable explanation of what's going on, but also what is the importance of the impact and what needs to be done with it. So here's an example of a group of alerts. And again, we will go to live environments, but I thought in this case to just use a good example and screenshot it. I'll zoom into the alert, but it's a simple alert with a summary and analysis. But check this out. No one cares about this alert. It's a low disk space alert. And I would challenge anyone who ever said low disk space and then skip it or automatically closed it. But what we're seeing here in the analysis is not only is this group of alerts remember, it's actually a group of them. Not only do they have low disk space indicating, but you're already paying for it with performance. In other words, instead of an alert that everyone ignores, skips, closes, you have an actionable analysis saying you're already paying for that with performance, do something about it. And a person without the experience might have skipped it, and an hour from now, a day from now, a week from now, you'll have the outage. Here's your chance to understand this is impactful and do something about it. So this is Now Assist for ITOM. Thanks for that clapping feedback. I love it. I'm going to go over to the next tool, Health Log Analytics. Diane had something to ask. Is that in the Q&A section? Maybe it's a mistake. I'll keep going. But if you have a question, Q&A it. So we're talking about Health Log Analytics, HLA, part of ITOM Health Predictive AIOps. HLA is all about your logs. And I can talk for hours about HLA, but really the quick version of it, and later you will have a link for a video about new stuff in HLA. It's really all of the sources of your logs. And yes, you monitor, and monitoring gets a lot of metrics. Metrics are what the industry has been doing for 20 years, but we've seen that metrics are not enough. Organizations still have issues. There is a very rich source of information in your logs. Why? Because developers put it there to understand what's going on with their code. So log data is important. It's hard to consume. No one gets paid to babysit logs. HLA does it. HLA does it at scale. It analyzes your logs. It makes patterns out of your logs. And when those patterns show something that is anomalous, and those anomalies are negative in nature, and we have algorithms to understand both, we will flag those alerts. And sometimes when you fix those issues, you have prevented user impact. That's why we call it preventative, predictive. We don't have a crystal ball, but it is the nature of outages that sometimes you see when you have an outage, there was a clue in the logs. It happens a lot, and those clues are now being analyzed. You can imagine HLA being a team member who is a data analyst and continuously, without making mistakes, without going on vacation, reads the logs for you and tell you, hey, I have an anomaly. And let's just zoom in. Basically, we're saying, send us your log from all of the sources, from your Splunks of the world, directly from flat files, from your S3 buckets, from API sources, from Kafka, from whatever. I don't think there's a log we cannot handle one way or another with APIs or with ACC agents to read flat files or whatnot. We're going to parse those logs. We're going to understand what they do. We're going to understand the anomalies. And sometimes those anomalies are new behavior. Sometimes those anomalies are something that always happens but suddenly spikes. Anti-anomalies are by themselves anomalies. For example, HTTP status 200. If you have browsing that's healthy, suddenly 200 drops, it's an anti-anomaly. You should do something about it because there's a problem. It's an anomaly. HLA will flag it. And I think a good scenario to show you is this. This came from a real customer issue. We loved it so much that we made a slide out of it. So it's Oracle, nothing to write home about, but Oracle had an outage in the order system. People started digging into this, the usual fire drill, waking up people at night, phone calls, war rooms, whatever you want to call it. HLA was installed there, not in production yet, but HLA was there, and HLA saw a few things hours before that. HLA saw that the order system had a response time that not only slows, but keeps slowing. So now you have a trend. On another log, HLA saw an anomaly with authentication failures. Now what HLA does, and if you remember one thing about it, you do not tell HLA what to look for. HLA will look for that. And HLA will understand that these two are connected. HLA correlates those, and HLA flags it and lets you understand that something is happening. All of that, plus now with agentic AI, HLA will analyze it, show you how to do something. I see a question. Was that a Q&A?
I got the Q&A.
I see. Can HLA clues from log inform future alerts? So HLA creates alerts, and those alerts inform you on potential future issues. And HLA doesn't need to enrich the alerts, although you could always tweak HLA to give more emphasis to certain fields in your alerts. For example, we have customers with mainframe, and every digit in mainframe may have a very special meaning. So if you need to tweak HLA to behave on a certain way, you could. But HLA, the futuristic aspect of HLA is HLA handles symptoms. And those symptoms, if handled, prevent user impact from happening. I hope that answers the question. All right. So once that is done, you have the analysis now, especially with GenAI, that shows you exactly what's going on. And automation with Leap, we're going to talk about Leap, and all of that happens hours before the outage. And this is a real scenario that we think is a good education of how HLA works. That's it for HLA. There's a link to a nice little YouTube about HLA at the end of this. You'll get the link. You'll be able to see more. Next one. Charlie, maybe you want to talk about SRM. I'll sip some water in the meantime.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to show about SRM, though, which is basically a little slide to introduce it. But Charlie, I'll let you speak through it.
Yeah, SRM is the bridge, or the closest bridge between ITSM and ITOM. But we're introducing a layer of federated team access. So it allows your teams to quickly accelerate and scale. For example, you have a server team, an application team, an infrastructure team. And in the old sense, the old model, you would have to onboard them one at a time, connect their monitoring tools, set up their services, technical services, service maps. And then once all those are in, you start defining triggers, when to create an incident, when to send a Teams notification, when to run a subflow to automate something. And then the ITSM layer is after I create an incident, what do we do? Do I trigger an on-call? Do I sign this automatically? So there's a lot of work from an administration perspective. What SRM introduces is federated team access. So you can onboard a team and enable that team to do all those things themselves from a self-service perspective. So you get a unified view in service operations workspace of all your services. It enables the teams to create their on-call schedules, um, set up those event management integrations, set up those alert automation rules, whether that's enriching, tagging, responding, give them the ability to manage their correlation rules. So it's really nice because I find that infrastructure or application teams are a little resistant because of the barriers of a central administrator. So you're removing that, but allowing centralized governance. So now you can, as an administrator, define when and where things happen, but enable these users to scale and go crazy where they want. On top of all of that, so those are all existing technologies. Adding federated team access is really the nice big win there. What we've also injected in this space is service level objectives. So you can now set up SLOs and service level indicators on your services based on that event management data. So say you have Dynatrace funneling data in, and different teams have different SLOs and different indicators of those. So those teams can measure availability, latency, error rates, and attach that to their monitoring sources, and then respond to those in kind with error budget responses, or you have that bigger contents, and then zoom up, you have SLO reporting too. Again, all self-service, really quick and easy to onboard a team, and then they just go crazy. So it's a really great feature.
Charlie, I have two questions on the Q&A. So one is taking event management to the next step from Rob. And Rob, I think
Yeah.
I understand you asked that. Can we use event management to prompt on-call scheduling to assign agents to automate specific healing actions to resolve issues?
Yeah, so the on-call scheduling is the confusing part of that question, but I think what you're the core of it is can we self-heal? Can we auto heal? And I think with Now Assist, you definitely can. We can trigger, so agents in the traditional sense are conversational, but you can also trigger agents autonomously. And so if you think about an agent that goes out and restarts a server or adds a disk space, you can connect those subflows. You can insert agents into a subflow. So by using Flow Designer, you can effectively accomplish what you're trying to do.
Cool, thank you. Another answer, another question actually. If you have one team that manages service databases and networks and another that handles application operations, so infrastructure and app owners, how do you automatically assign the right ticket to the right team?
Great question. So the concept of federated team access in SRM is all team driven. So when you onboard a team, you're onboarding them into SRM. And so from that point, it's all based on that support group or assignment group. So step one is create an integration, say from Dynatrace or from Zabbix or SolarWinds. So that team, say the network team is going to hook up their integration. It's tied to that team. So any data coming in through that integration they set up is auto assigned to that team. So all alerts and incidents and upstream are tracked there. And that's how they also manage the rules, the enriching, the grouping, the automations, those types of things. So from the start, it's locked into the by the team. There's another strategy where you have a central administrator assigning alerts, and then so you have one integration, rather essentially one large pipe from Dynatrace or then individual pipes per team. And then there's system properties or alert management rules you could use to function that. But the federated team access way is it's native. So you onboard the team and they don't have a choice. They can't reassign things very easily without involving you guys.
Cool. Thank you. Arangadurai, I see you raise your hand to talk, so go for it if you still want to talk. All right. Maybe it was a mistake, but I see your hand held up. Okay, let's continue. Now, I'm looking at the time and the clock. We want to cover more things, and that's why I'm using the little animation here to demo, but we will find at the end time to go in and demo some of those capabilities on a live environment. Instead of doing it for every tool separately, we'll save time doing that. And that was SRM. Let's move on to the next tool. And again, just to talk about context, these are all tools that we can help you implement given the time that we don't have much of it for November and December, but if you're quick, we can talk about it. Next one. So CAM, Cloud Account Management. I already mentioned that CAM is part of a set of tools. I'll go into that in the next slide. So the CAM capability, not rocket science either. Handle your account. But when you talk about context with ServiceNow platform handling your accounts, this means you can create your account, your budget, your policies, make sure you audit all these accounts, make sure, for example, that they all have owners, make sure that your platform controls who can open what, who can use what, doing the same thing you would have done on each of the clouds, but in this case, obviously, cloud agnostic, vendor agnostic, and doing everything from one place. For example, one policy that says developers can take away certain budgets and apply that to multi-clouds, automate governance workflows, and we'll go over what that looks like soon. Really good examples of using cloud is the inventory capabilities with business context. In other words, what cloud assets belong to my e-banking or my checkout service, etc. Configuration, like I said, audits and budgeting and policy, suspend, react, and all that automation. I would call it the day zero, day one, and some day two capabilities. And why CAM is just the first tool in the whole suite is because we have a suite of tools called the Cloud Governance Suite. Um, when you buy this governance suite, you buy CAM right now. Soon in Q4, that suite is going to also include SecOps, cloud security, management, audits, security audits, and whatnot. It will include, like I mentioned, cloud costs, lifecycle management. And in Q1 next year, we're going to add the piece about cloud architecture, cloud migration, and greenfield new cloud architecture. All of these tools come with, I think it's even a flat fee of something, but CAM is the first tool in the Cloud Governance Suite. And I'm looking at the chat real quick. Great, we're all set. Arunadhara, if you're ready to talk, I see that you raise your hand, so go for it. You can talk. Maybe you're muting yourself.
I'm audible.
Oh, we can hear you. Yes. Hi.
Yeah. So we spoke about this CAM and this governance, right? So is it like only applicable for the public cloud, or in case if you're having a private cloud, will that be suitable for that as well?
So CAM is for public cloud, not for private cloud.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, sure. So we will continue to the next tools in the suite of tools. So the next one is synthetic monitoring. And synthetic monitoring, like I said, the technology has been there in the industry all the time, but it wasn't part of the platform, and now it is. It's very simple. It gets better and better. It's fairly new. I think it was GA in May this year. And you can see a few examples of what we want to ping, what we see, total monitors. It gets added to everything that event management collects as far as information and alerts from all of the tools that we have. HLA, metric intelligence, and now others as well, but synthetic monitoring as well now. Another indicator to help you make good decisions, or click analyze, and that lets our analysis work for you. The way to set it up, again, nothing very special, nothing fancy. I think the tool is just there and just works. And having it part of the platform is the strength of that tool. You can open new records here and it'll just start monitoring. So that is synthetic monitoring. It's
One
part
thing
of, sorry.
I was gonna say, one thing I really like about the opportunity of synthetic monitoring is you think about like a thousand eyes or a pingdom. Um, Say application team A has to, they stand up a new application or a new API endpoint. They have to go call the thousand eyes person. Thousand eyes types it in, configures it. Since synthetics is in ServiceNow, you have the ability to automate. So via discovery, you have API discovery. If you're hooked into the cloud, which registers those CIs and you seem to be, you can create a flow, or have a self-service form and auto stand up synthetic monitoring on all these URLs, where before there was a human variable there. So you can really accelerate and I think close gaps. It's one less manual step for your app dev teams or anybody standing up API endpoints. They just turn on, discovery discovers it, you start monitoring it. And there's no manual steps at that point once you think about the thousand eyes scenario.
And what you just said actually applies especially to the next tool we're going to talk about. What Charlie is alluding to is the reality, the day-to-day of platform owners. If platform owners own the platform and they need a third party to, in this case, add monitoring, that adds time to everything that you do. So this synthetic monitoring and the next tool, service observability, is really good at exactly that point. Thank you, Charlie, for making that point. The point is, all of those teams can work better together within the platform. So if 2026, you're going to hear a lot from ServiceNow about the operator being the center point. And the operator in this case can start monitoring things and start getting feedback and start understanding what's going on in your environment with less hassle, less reliance on other teams. All those teams and you can work together and save time. The way it works is that NOC operator, that operator, he or she can go and say, all right, instead of going to the APM team for monitoring every time I need to know things like latency, have service observability, collect information from all your existing monitoring and show it, but not only show it for the sake of showing duplicate dashboard, but also show it in the platform with business context. In other words, I'll show you the next slide. Here's a set of APM KPIs measured, typical APM monitoring slides, but at the same time, and Charlie, maybe we should show a live environment for that just after we're done going through the tools, because this is a little blurry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you see all this information, you see your changes, you see your incidents, you see business context KPIs. If you have SRM there, then you can also see latency or whatever KPIs that come from APM, along with your SLAs and SLOs and the budgets. So it's very strong connection of both worlds, and it caters to the day-to-day of platform owners who now don't need to bother other teams as much because now everything is in the platform for them. And see something on the chat. Thanks, Jenna. Love it. Thank you. So this is service observability. We will show it. Actually, Charlie, do we want to jump in and just show it real quick? Because I think
Yeah,
it's
Ken.
worth the attention. I'll stop sharing and I'll let you share.
Yeah, sounds good. This, um, so service observability, like Dora said, is bridging the gap between jumping between systems and tools. So this is a real-time stream into your APM layers. So for example, in the old sense of the world, I have a checkout service. Traditionally, your NOC or your major incident team or whoever's interested in it would have to review alerts or jump into Dynatrace or Thousand Eyes or New Relic, and they jump between tabs, and then they're coming back to ServiceNow to say, well, what's the CI? Was there changes? Are there problem records on that CI? So that solves this problem. In this case, my checkout service is connected to New Relic, but we connect to the major APM systems, New Relic, Datadog, LogicMon. The list is too long. Can't remember anymore. You have it. We got it. And again, it's a zero copy real-time stream. So we can see here at the highest level, I'm on my checkout service. Here's my overview. I have all the important KPIs and the key transactions I flagged in New Relic. But then I get all that contextual information. What's the incident problem change? What's my SRM, SLO status? What are my error budgets at? Are there upstream or downstream impact? Again, from the CMDB, you can see that here. And then we can keep scrolling down and see open incidents, previous incidents, and all alerts related to this service. This service can be mapped. It could be a technical service. It could just be a CI group. So service mapping is not a requirement to facilitate this, and you get all this really great context. And again, we're streaming these in. You have the ability to create and manipulate this dashboard further. So say your teams really like to know what the requests are. or problem records aren't on here yet. So you can add widgets and stuff to this dashboard. Additionally, we can jump in even further. Maybe I need more context. There's this observability tab that gets added in, and it breaks all the monitoring functions that New Relic is doing in this case. So you have all your service metrics, you have all your host layer metrics, and then you have all your database metrics. Um, go. So again, it's giving you all the tools you need to figure out what's wrong and why, all in one central spot for you.
Thank you. I am going to steal the share, but we're going to show another demo for you for Discovery Admin Workspace in a moment. So we were here and we're wrapping up Surface Observability just to jump into Discovery Admin Workspace, DAW. The workspace that you may have from last year, I think version 105, now has version 110. So any of you who have Discovery or ever used the Discovery Admin Workspace, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. All you need to do is go upgrade it to the latest version. And I want to say be amazed, but we'll go into why, and Charlie is going to show the live version. So first of all, Discovery Admin Workspace has always shown a bunch of information about the discovery, but now there's also the behavior of anomalous discovery schedules. In other words, if your schedule fails and you don't know, like I said earlier, if you don't know if it's okay or not, now you're going to know, because we're going to show it always failed by showing you 80% of your CIs. But now, for some reason, this morning you woke up and started your shift or whatnot, and suddenly only 40% of those CIs are showing. It failed back then and it failed now, but now you know that there's an anomaly in the behavior of the discovery. The other thing is we're going to show you some admin tasks, and we're going to show you some diagnostics that are sorted by importance. In other words, we'll show you discovery tasks and suggestions that have the most impact. You don't want to spend your next hour fixing a discovery issue maybe that only impacts 3 nodes, but you are going to see clearly when the task that we suggest that you fix is touching and improving discovery for 3,000 nodes. Which one would you choose? Now it's obvious. The other thing is Context 360. Charlie will show it in a second. It is an opt-in. In other words, we're asking you to send us anonymized information. But what you get in return is we fix your fingerprint or undiscoverable fingerprint ourselves. We run our own processes. And next week, Discovery Admin Workspace is going to be updated. It's going to be a weekly process, weekly update. You send us anonymized data, we update Discovery Admin Workspace, and suddenly you see more fingerprints discovered, whereas before you needed to do it manually. That's painful. We heard a lot of complaints. Now you don't have to. Agree to send us the Context 360 data, and boom, you got discovery improvement. The last thing in the Insights tab, and Charlie, maybe you should jump into your view right now. There's something called Shazam, amazing especially for network devices. We'll go through that. So Shazam Insights. I highly recommend you go and activate it, make sure it's installed, make sure it's working. There's actually a KB about it for this month version. There's an issue there. I'll actually post the KB. Charlie, go ahead. You can speak through it in the meantime.
Yeah. I think just what we're saying is like discovery administrators, your experience hasn't changed since the beginning of time. Discovery administrators do so much. The goal is to try and centralize and reduce the tabs, the clicking, and just make life overall easier. There's so much in here and there's so much coming that even if I had 30 cups of coffee, I couldn't talk about it in less than 30 minutes. We'll share some videos you can watch at the end. Um, but the things that stand out to me that I think are the most interesting, again, is what Dora's talking about, was the anomalies. So you can go into your schedules or just look at anomalies at the highest level, and see what's happening. So I mean, we know there's always errors in discoveries, things you care about, some things you don't care about. When you look at your schedules, this will tell you what's anomalous, why is it anomalous. Go to diagnostics, there's no schedules here. Well, if it would show you this, there we go. Just takes a second. So it's going to tell you what's the anomaly type. So why does this fail? Oh, low CI discovery rate. This is interesting. This is actionable. It's cutting through sort of the noise of what's the normal day to day of errors and the logs. It removes your need to read logs. If you like reading logs, sorry, nobody likes reading logs. So it allows you to really accelerate and kind of cut through the noise. You can jump in and then deep dive and troubleshoot. So you see, here's all the recent discovery schedules, your total runs, and just all the context you need to try and start troubleshooting this. We can take this a step further by creating tasks. Go ahead, Dor.
I'm saying Jason wrote a very important, I don't know the answer to, Charlie, maybe you do. Will new classes or CI class attributes be created by the anonymous information we send? Jason, I just posted that to the PM who's in Santa Clara. I'm not sure he started his day yet, but at the very least, I'm going to find an answer and contact you with the answer.
Yeah, so the discovery schedules just makes things faster, easier, better. We added discovery tasks so you can one track your own work. Oftentimes, we see discovery admins not tracking their work in platform. They're doing things like on notepads or just checklists. So this helps organize, visualize. It's almost year end review time. If you track your work, it's easier to run your review. Say, I did all these things. But more importantly, if you're trying to track other folks down, say you have some failed credentials, you need somebody from the Windows team to go issue new credentials to troubleshoot it. You can send tasks to them. And in those tasks, here's the task, case management. If you create a task off of an error or an anomaly, it's going to pull all that context in. So you can track and manage all those things. Again, there's so much here. It's going to be impossible to even talk about it. We'll send you a video. Um, but so check this diagnostics support tools out is my favorite section. It gives you the ability to just, again, run the things you need to run, and debug and troubleshoot things.
One thing, Charlie, I like to add, if you go to the settings here, you can actually control if you want us to work our own anomaly detection. If you go down, you can make the choice, keep it that way, which here I recommend you keep it that way. Or, Charlie, if you can click and just show the other option, you can actually go with stats based, and then you want to set threshold just like good old times and you're happy with it. You have the control on how you want discovery to decide on anomalies. Just FYI.
The last thing to just really call out, and Dor did, is Shazam Insights, super helpful. But on this Insights tab, you're getting a lot of dashboards and tools and resources. This one I hear a lot is really interesting. All of a sudden, we don't see servers anymore. We haven't seen these servers in the last 7 days. Something is suspicious. Um, so it's going to give you a lot of quick and easy access tools, and you're not jumping around through a billion tabs or notepads or just reading log lines anymore, hopefully.
Yeah, and what we as a team can do, and Charlie, I want to move on to the next because I see how much time we have left. What we as a team can do is if you go and install the AW, contact myself or Charlie. We can have a session with you, go over your own 360, sorry, not 360, your own DAW. Once you install it, go and update it in production. Have us work with you for a quick 30 minutes, make sure you see everything you need to see, help you understand what you're seeing, what you're looking at, and work with you to understand if DAW is really doing its job, which is less people need to spend less time in order to get discovery working for them. So having said that, let's wrap up the Discovery Admin Workspace. It's exciting. I think we can talk about it for hours. So that was Discovery Admin Workspace, and almost last, and that's why I want to be very sensitive of time. Leap, I think Leap is magic, so sorry if I sound very excited. So automation, reading your past incidents, understanding what needs to be done to solve them, and of course, understanding what someone who sees those issues without experience, how can someone benefit from us showing them exactly the instructions they need to see. So this is Leap in a nutshell. Just because of time, I think we might go over time in a few minutes, but we'll try not to. I'm going to show Leap and Agentic, and then Charlie, maybe you'll show just both of them at the same run. So I'll run through it. So Leap says, we're going to look at all of your incidents, historical incidents. We're going to cluster them into portions, like all the incidents that have dealt with LDAP not working. We're going to show you that you had, for example, 200 of those in the last year, and give you like, here's the instructions of how to handle this issue that happened 200 times. Also, we're going to get you instructions, and in a click of a button, and I'm not getting licenses, but there's licenses involved in here, but in click of a button, we'll create the automation for you in Flow Designer, or as they call it now, something like Flow Studio, Workflow Studio. We'll actually create the automation for you based on those instructions. In other words, problems, high impact problems, you get instructions on how to solve them. You get a button that creates a flow that automates those instructions for you to go and tweak based on what you need. And so that's, we'll show it in a minute, and Agentic AI, which we'll show real quick. So Agentic AI, again, the platform has many capabilities, but if you think about it, Agentic AI takes the platform and takes LLM and marries them together. Everything that the platform does right now comes from that approach. Every tool will have some sort of LLM-based AI analysis involved. So your alerts, your NOC people interacting with these alerts daily, but now we're going to actually show them, here's the impact, here's the alert, here's the plan of what you need to do about it. Confirm, or you can chat, you can ask questions about it. You can say, is this problem a wide impact or a specific impact, or anything that you want to ask, and we're going to show you, in this case, impact, a plan, what needs to be done, what's related to that, what's the blast radius of the issue that we're seeing, what other related issues, and all of that done through either chat or agents, which Charlie is going to show in a minute, agents that you can build. And we have customers who already do that, and some of them have amazing ideas. I want to see all of you toy with the Agentic AI Studio, create your agents. Charlie will show you how easy it is, although we just have a few minutes to show it. And Charlie, just before I cue you in to show that, I want to really go over, I'm even skipping that because I just explained what it does, but this is the Agentic AI workflow and how it works. What I really want to talk about is quick outcomes from implementation, working with our team for those outcomes. And it is November. And next year, I don't know what we're going to, what tools we're going to work with. So given the fact that we have Christmas, ignore the second half of December. My call to you is, if you see any of those tools, especially the quick ones like Service Observability, DAW, work with us. Let's get them installed together. Make sure you're getting what you wanted to get. Make sure everyone's happy. And if you think you can meet us, make a quick plan, execute it, and go to production within this very short time frame, you get our help, you get it for free. We're happy to do it. We love seeing our customers succeed. And that's really my call for today. Everything you saw earlier and all that set of tools, with any one of them, interact with us, meet with us. Let's see if we can help you. You got to own those tools. I don't think we're happy to talk to on any subject, even if you don't own them, and talk to you about what they do. But really, our goal is to help those who own those licenses, all those implementations, to do it with us, do it fast, and move something as an example to production. What you get out of it, you can show your leadership. Hey, look at what we're achieving with the platform and what we're achieving with our investment in ITOM. What we get out of it, as I said, we want more customers to adopt and not be afraid of those advanced capabilities. And we'll show you that it's actually pretty simple. And we'll help you get there. Just last pieces is there is going to be kind of more information that you can get from other teams, like the Impact team, our training teams, and expert services. Those teams are great. You can engage them, especially for full, if you have 400 services to implement with HLA. Yeah, we can help for free with one of them. But if you want the rest of them, go to your partners, go to the expert services, work with them on we will, of course, advise, but work with them on the large scale plans. Aside from saying thank you for joining today, I also want to send a few important links. Charlie sprinkled those links into the chat, and you will have a copy of this, so you can get all of those links later. And before we sign off, I want you, Charlie, to show us agentic AI and what it can do.
Yeah, Leap is great. I think someone had asked, like, how do I trigger an alert to go do some sort of agentic automation? This is the fast button. So it's, again, scanning your incidents. So here's some of my incidents here. And then it's going to use generative AI to create the resolution steps, and then create those playbooks. It takes a couple minutes though. So again, it's accelerating that. From there, you publish the playbook. So from here, I can show that playbook. Again, it's opening up in Flow Designer or Workflow Studio. And then while that's loading here, it's also measuring the value. Is this working? So if you're thinking about automation, the automation engineer persona, cool, you created 100 automations, but if they're never being run, you're not doing any real value for your organization. So we're providing these dashboards and reports to show you when and where it's
Can you
being
go back to
run.
the
And so,
instructions, Charlie?
yeah,
And go ahead with that too. So I think that
yeah.
the most immediate thing that you can see from Leap is that you generate a Leap and it shows instructions that a lot of times are very specific and very effective. And that's the strength of Leap. Again, marrying LLM with
Mm.
your own historical incidents. Leap will know how you solved things in the past. Leap will read all of the information around those incidents in order to give you the best instructions that are both industry specific and specific to your environment.
And here's an example of a playbook it generated, and this is in Flow Designer. So you can come in here and plug and play what you need to. Say your automation is Rundeck or Ansible or Salt. You come here, gets you the framework, and you plug in your credentials or your automation tool of choice to do that.
Yeah, and we're 2 minutes after the time, and if you're staying, then thank you. The last thing we want to show is our agentic AI capabilities, and then we'll sign off. And again, thanks
Yeah.
everyone who made it so far. Feel free to stay a couple more minutes.
Yeah, one of the questions I think Jenna asked was, how do we prioritize alerts? So if here's one example of an agentic workflow that comes out of box. That's that video that Dor showed you. It's running all these 5 agents, scanning, understanding, and providing some output. You can take this further by adding your own agents. So if you have a knowledge base in Confluence or SharePoint or all of the above, you can build individual agents to go scan that content and pull it back in and just continue to add. There's an add agent button. So if you think about all your use cases that are specific to your organization, we're giving you the framework, kind of like the baseline, but your data, your policy, your procedure can easily be inserted in here. Creating an agent is very quick. I was working with a customer last week, and together we built 30 something agents in 1 week. We built, tested, they needed to be tuned, but we were able to get from 0 to 95% again in a week on 30 separate agents. So you can see there's a bunch of agents here. Adding an agent is easier than ever. You can use generative AI to fill most of this out for you. So when you come here, you define what you want to do, and then it fills it all out. The other things you need to give it access to tools, define when and where to trigger it, and where you want it to display. So it's very quick to say, use generative AI to give it a role and a list of steps. You have process and procedure. You copy and paste it in here. It's plain text. And then you lock it into the agentic workflow that we have out of box, or build your own, sort of like Lego blocks. You just kind of build your individual blocks and then stack them together in whatever order you want.
Great, Charlie, thank you very much. And like I said, many thanks for making it for today. Here are some helpful links that you already got in chat. And thank you. Thank you for making it.